The boy who turned torn paper into light. 7 nights before Obon, a landlord tied a red cord across the entrance of a tiny lantern workshop in Kyoto. The cord was thin, but to 16-year-old Ren, it looked stronger than an iron chain. "You have until the morning after the festival," the landlord said. "If the rent is not paid, this workshop will be sealed." Then he bowed once and walked away. Ren remained in the street, staring at the red cord moving gently in the summer wind. Behind him, the workshop was almost empty. No customers, no finished lanterns, no money hidden beneath the floorboards. Only a low wooden table, a few bamboo strips, several jars of dried paste, and Ren's father sitting near the back wall with his eyes covered by a faded cloth. Once, Haruto had been known throughout the district for making lanterns so balanced that even a weak flame seemed to float inside them. Merchants bought his work, tea houses displayed it, families ordered special lanterns before Obon to welcome the spirits of their ancestors home. But the previous winter, a jar of lamp oil had exploded while Haruto was working. The fire spared his life, it did not spare his sight. Since then, the workshop had slowly gone silent. Customers moved to larger shops, debts grew, and Ren's mother began selling household possessions one at a time. First, the copper kettle, then her wedding comb, then the heavy winter quilts. Now there was almost nothing left to sell. That evening, Ren's mother placed 3 bowls of thin barley porridge on the floor. No one mentioned the red cord. Haruto lifted his bowl carefully. "How many nights?" he asked. 7, Ren replied. His father nodded, as though 7 nights were a generous amount of time. Ren could not understand his calm. "We cannot make enough lanterns," Ren said. "We do not even have paper." Haruto turned his covered eyes toward the sound of his son's voice. "Then stop looking for what we do not have." Ren felt anger rise in him. It was easy for a blind man to speak in riddles, but he said nothing. Before sunrise, Ren left the workshop and walked toward the temple district. Obon preparations had already begun. Workers hung fresh lanterns beneath gates, families carried flowers and incense, shopkeepers swept the streets and replaced faded decorations with new ones. Behind one large lantern shop, Ren found a wooden cart filled with discarded material, torn sheets of washi paper, bent bamboo frames, lantern panels stained by rain, pieces considered too damaged for paying customers. Ren asked the shopkeeper whether he could take them. The man looked at the scraps and laughed. "You want ruined paper? I want what you no longer need." The shopkeeper waved him away. "Take it all. It will save me the trouble of burning it." Ren loaded the damaged material into a cloth bundle and carried it home. 6 nights remained. He worked until his fingers became sticky with paste. He trimmed torn edges, straightened bamboo over steam, pressed wrinkled sheets beneath wooden boards. By midnight, he had made his first lantern. It was crooked. One side leaned inward. The paper carried a dark stain that looked like a storm cloud. Ren placed a small oil cup inside and lit the wick. For one beautiful second, the lantern glowed. Then the paper split from top to bottom, the bamboo frame collapsed, the flame died. Ren threw the broken frame onto the floor. From the back of the room, Haruto spoke. "You forced the paper to pretend it had never been torn." Ren looked at him. "What else was I supposed to do?" "Listen to it." "It is paper." "Then why did it break?" Ren wanted to argue. Instead, he picked up the torn sheet. 5 nights remained. Ren tried again. This time, he pasted a second layer behind the damaged area. The lantern held its shape, but the paper became too thick. Almost no light passed through it. The small flame inside looked weak and trapped. Ren carried 3 lanterns to the evening market anyway. He placed them beside the road as customers passed toward polished stalls filled with painted dragons, cranes, flowers, and gold leaf patterns. A group of apprentices from another workshop stopped in front of Ren's lanterns. One pointed at the dark patches. "Did you drop these in a river?" Another lifted one by the frame. "My grandmother's laundry basket is straighter." They laughed and walked away. By the end of the evening, Ren had sold nothing. On the way home, he considered leaving the lanterns beside the road. Instead, he carried every one back. His father touched the thick paper with his fingertips. "You hid the damage," Haruto said. "I repaired it." "No, you buried it." Ren pulled the lantern away. "We do not have time for riddles." Haruto lowered his hand. "Then perhaps we do not have time to make anything worth buying." 4 nights remained. Ren sat outside the workshop beneath the summer moon, surrounded by scraps. He held one torn sheet toward the light. The damaged places were thinner than the rest, small fibers separated like veins in a leaf. For the first time, Ren did not cut them away. He brushed paste around each tear and placed narrow strips of translucent paper over them, not enough to hide the damage, only enough to strengthen it. When the lantern dried, he placed a flame inside. Golden light passed through the repaired lines. The tears did not disappear, they became brighter. Ren carried the lantern to his father. Haruto moved his hands slowly across the surface. Then he smiled. "There you are." The next evening, Ren returned to the market with 4 repaired lanterns. People still passed without stopping. The lanterns were uneven. Their surfaces held visible seams. They did not resemble the smooth, perfect work displayed at the larger stalls. Then a small girl pulled her mother toward them. "Look," she said, "it has rivers inside." The mother bent down. Light moved through the repaired lines like narrow streams of gold. "How much?" she asked. Ren had not expected the question. He named a price too low. The woman paid without bargaining. It was the first money the family had earned in months. 3 nights remained. Word did not spread across Kyoto. No wealthy merchant arrived. No crowd gathered outside Ren's door. But the following evening, the woman returned with her sister. Then an elderly man bought one for the room where he kept his wife's memorial tablet. A tea seller ordered 2. By the end of the night, Ren had sold every lantern. The money was still far below what the family owed, but now Ren understood what he had to make. He returned to the discarded cart and collected every damaged sheet he could carry. He worked through the night. His mother mixed paste. Haruto sat beside him, feeling each bamboo frame and telling Ren where it bent too sharply. For the first time since the accident, the workshop sounded alive. Paper brushed against paper, bamboo clicked against the table, paste bubbled over a small stove. By sunrise, 12 lanterns stood in a row. 2 nights remained. A temple attendant visited the workshop. He had seen one of Ren's lanterns at the market. The temple needed 20 lanterns for a narrow path leading toward the cemetery. Their original order had been delayed. If you can finish 20 by Obon evening, the temple will pay enough to cover most of your rent. Ren looked at the 12 lanterns, then at the piles of wet paper still waiting to be repaired. "We will finish them," he said. For the next day and night, no one rested. Ren's hands cramped, her mother's fingers blistered. Haruto remained beside the frames, feeling their balance by touch. By late afternoon, 19 lanterns were complete. Only 1 remained. Outside, thunder rolled across Kyoto. Ren looked toward the open shutters. The sky had turned almost black. The rain arrived before they could close them. Wind pushed water deep into the workshop. Ren and her mother rushed to move the lanterns, but the roof began leaking in 3 places. Drops struck the paper. One lantern sagged, then another. A gust entered through the doorway and knocked the entire row onto the wet floor. Ren stood frozen. The lanterns he had spent 2 days repairing collapsed into one another. Paper darkened, frames twisted, paste dissolved. Within minutes, the temple order was ruined. Only 1 night remained. Ren's mother began lifting the damaged lanterns from the floor. "Perhaps some can be dried," she said. Ren did not answer. He sat beside the red cord at the entrance. Across the street, family lanterns glowed beneath sheltered roofs. Perfect, dry, untouched. The landlord would return after Obon. The workshop would close. Ren felt no anger now, only emptiness. Behind him, bamboo tapped softly against the floor. Haruto had left his place near the wall. He moved carefully until he found one of the rain-damaged lanterns. His fingers pressed against the wet paper. "It is softer now," he said. It is destroyed. Those are not the same thing. Ren closed his eyes. I cannot repair 20 lanterns before tomorrow. No. Haruto lifted the wet panel. But perhaps you can make 20 lanterns that do not need to look repaired. Ren turned to him. The paper had wrinkled under the rain. Dark watermarks spread across it in pale circles. The damaged layers had become thinner in some places and clouded in others. Ren carried one frame to the table. He did not try to smooth the wet paper. He brushed leaves against it, dragged a comb through the softened fibers, added ash from the stove to the paste. When the panel dried near the fire, it held shadows like mountains in mist. He placed a flame inside. The light moved through the wrinkles, water stains, seams, and leaves. It no longer looked like damaged paper. It looked like a night sky changing before a storm. Ren's mother stared at it. Haruto could not see it. But when Ren placed the lantern in his hands, his father smiled. Now make 19 more. They worked until morning. They did not recreate the lanterns they had lost. They made something entirely different. No two were alike. One held the shape of rain. Another looked like clouds passing over a river. One carried dark ash lines like distant mountains. Another glowed through pale leaf patterns. On Obon evening, Ren carried the lanterns to the temple. The attendant's face tightened when he saw them. "These are not what we ordered." "No," Ren said. "They are what survived." The attendant looked toward the cemetery path. Families had already begun arriving. There was no time to find another maker. "Hang them," he said. As darkness settled over Kyoto, the 20 lanterns were lit one by one. The narrow path transformed. Golden rivers appeared inside torn paper. Water stains became moons. Wrinkles became clouds. Ash became mountains. Families slowed as they passed. Children reached toward the moving patterns. Older people stood quietly beneath the light, remembering those who had once walked beside them. No one asked why the paper was imperfect. The imperfections were the reason they stopped. The following morning, the landlord returned. He found the red cord already removed. The temple had paid Ren. The tea seller had ordered 6 more lanterns. 3 families had left their names for future work. Ren placed the rent money into the landlord's hand. Then he opened the workshop doors. Haruto sat at the same low table where he had worked before the accident. His eyes were still covered. His sight had not returned. The roof still leaked. The walls were still worn. The family was not suddenly wealthy, but sunlight entered the room again. Ren hung the first rain-marked lantern above the door. People in the district soon began calling them rain light lanterns, not because rain had made them beautiful, because Ren had stopped treating damage as the end of their story. Years later, customers would ask him how he created such unusual patterns. Ren never gave them a secret formula. He simply told them the truth. The paper had been torn, the rain had fallen, and instead of beginning again with something perfect, he had learned to work with what remained. Ren saved his family's workshop at Obon, but the real thing he inherited from his father was not a recipe for paste or a method for bending bamboo. It was a way of seeing. Some people looked at torn paper and saw something that had lost its value. Ren learned to hold it against the light, because sometimes what appears ruined is only waiting for someone patient enough to discover where the light can still pass through.